I'm Donna Blanchard, and this is your ThinkTech Daily News for Tuesday, June 2nd, 2015. Sepp Blatter, the president of FIFA, has resigned. Days after 14 senior officials of FIFA were indicted on charges including money laundering and bribery to the tune of $150 million, investigations into the billion-dollar organization continue by the U.S. and Switzerland. 2 days after the indictments were announced in late May by U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch, the scheduled FIFA presidential election was held and Mr. Blatter won his 5th term in office. He vowed to, quote, be in command of this boat called FIFA and we will bring it back to shore upon acceptance. He later began accusing the U.S. and Switzerland of announcing the indictment so close to the presidential election in an effort to unseat him. Though he still has not been charged with anything related to the ongoing investigations, he has been at the helm during all of the alleged scandal. Today, the 79-year-old, who has been involved in FIFA for the last 40 years, resigned. In a short speech delivered at the headquarters of FIFA, Mr. Blatter said that FIFA needs a profound restructuring and that although the members of FIFA have given me this new mandate, the mandate does not seem to be supported by everyone in the world of football. Now, if you're not a fan of world soccer and wonder why this is such a big deal, let's remember that soccer isn't just a sport in many other countries. It's a patriotic, sometimes nationalist source of community unity, and high-ranking teams bring immense amounts of revenue, pride, and cachet to their home states and countries. And how could we forget that on the 20th of last month, when Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was facing a bill from his conservative government to disallow Palestinians from riding the same buses as Israelis traveling to Jewish settlements, the Palestinians threatened to have Israel removed from FIFA. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Federica Mogherini immediately swooped into Israel to lead discussions between the two states. The Palestinians dropped the threat, and Prime Minister Netanyahu dropped the segregation bill. Yes, it's definitely more than just a sport. Syria has been involved in a 4-year civil war that ISIS or ISIL has been taking advantage of. As President Bashar al-Assad supporters battle the Syrian opposition, Islamic State militants joined the fray, just as they've done in Yemen. ISIL utilizes civil unrest to not only dominate, but to obtain and mandate control of areas in which they've expanded. Often within these territories, Islamic State sleeper cells await command to pounce and aid ISIL efforts. About 36 jihadist groups across at least 18 nations have pledged support to the Islamic State. These countries include Nigeria, Mali, Algeria, Libya, Egypt, Sudan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Indonesia, and the Philippines. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is being accused of deploying his warplanes as an air force for ISIL, and it's feared that Aleppo will be the next to fall to ISIL with al-Assad's support, though the government and Islamic State say that they are enemies. This new fighting, reported by non-Islamic State insurgents in Syria, comes amid mounting frustration that the American-led coalition formed to fight the Islamic State last year has not come to their aid with airstrikes. The U.S. Embassy in Syria, which has long been closed, continues to tweet, stating that the Assad regime avoids ISIL lines in complete contradiction to the regime's claims to be fighting ISIL, and that there is no better recruiting tool for ISIL than the brutality of the Assad regime. More about that tomorrow. In a surprise reversal, the U.S. Senate voted today to curtail the federal government's sweeping surveillance of American phone records. That legislation now goes to President Obama's desk for approval. This bill ends a system of domestic spying that has been in place since shortly after the September 11th, 2001 attacks. Exposed by Edward Snowden in 2013, the eavesdropping agency collected and searched phone records of calls looking for terrorist leads. As the Patriot Act expired and the USA Freedom Act has been passed, this amendment still requires phone companies to collect metadata. But instead of routinely feeding U.S. intelligence agencies that data, the companies are only required now to turn it over in response to a government request approved by the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. Hui ho, everyone. Donna Blanchard, ThinkTech Daily News.